All right, welcome. The purpose of this video is to talk about how to create this synthesizer. So it's basically two wavetable synthesizers running basically independently of each other, running into an effects rack, and then balancing between the two. So basically, once you've done sort of the setup of the wavetables and done your effects, you can then decide the balancing that you want between these two environments. So what it sounds like right now is like this. So basically a standard kind of wavetable synthesis. Sounds like this on the left, sounds like this on the right. I can alter the location of the wavetable by just sliding the scale up and down. Let's do this. And of course over here. And I have access to all of the controls for the wavetable. I can specify the sources, the transforms, the renders, etc. Same over here. And I can also specify my unison. So here I have 3 unison voices. That's what we're going to build. So we're going to start out with an empty wavetable. So I'll just go into Instruments, Templates, and Basic Wave Synths. Whoops, sorry, empty. We'll go into the editor, and then we'll pop open the basic synthesizer. So basically what we'll need is a couple of different things. First, we'll need a new polysynth. So I'll open up the browser, and we need to go into modules and polysynth. So the reason we're using polysynth is it's a special synthesizer that allows you to have, it's basically a polyphonic synthesizer, which by default, the regular synthesizer inside of MUX has one voice. So it has one sound, well, basically one voice coming out of it, where the polysynthesizer can have, I think it's 47 voices going on. So, and the way you use the different voices is you put them slightly out of tune. So you're basically doing unison on them. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up these two polysynthesizers with a set of event racks and basically an audio balancing. So I'm going to set up that infrastructure right now, or all those pieces. So we'll need a rack here and here, and an auto balance 2:1. This. So basically the MIDI is going to come in and it's going to run into both of these polyphonic synthesizers. The polyphonic synthesizers are going to go into this rack and into this rack. And I like to just sort of stack them up like this. They'll come out of the rack into this balancer, like so. And this will go out to the main audio for this synthesizer. And then in each synthesizer, we need to set up a very basic internal synthesizer. So we'll need ADSR to control our volume. And actually, I'm going to go into the other one and set up there to default. Get rid of that. Right that there. And then I need a multiform. So multiform oscillator is the wavetable synthesis. So those are all the pieces, and we just have to wire them up. This is going to control the volume. So basically we have essentially two identical synthesizers, polyphonic synthesizers, running a wavetable in both cases. And that's how you set up the synthesizer. So to set up the user interface, which is really the purpose of this video, we basically have to drag and drop a bunch of stuff from all of these synthesizers. So what I'm going to do is right-click this, and I'm going to set the size, edit properties. I'm going to make this, I think 800. And I'll make this one 800 as well. We'll make it smaller later on. So that basically sets the size. We're going to use a couple of frames. Add a component, group frame, and we're going to call this OSC1. And OSC2. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color here, just sort of make it the same. All right. So there's my frames for the oscillators. And I'm going to make them a little bit bigger for the moment. So in here I'm going to put information, all the things about oscillator 1. So here's my polysynth oscillator 1, or sorry, polyphonic synthesizer 1, and here's the other one. So I go into here, and I want to put this frame, this multiform, and this layers piece, as well as the octave, onto my form. So to do that, it's really simple. You right-click the screen here and you add a component, and you say you want to add a waveform display. And what you do is you just simply click the waveform display that you want to have appear. All the other controls are drag and drop. Actually, that's not true. For here, I need the multiform editor button. So that's this guy. Make it a little bit bigger. Slide it over here. I'll need the layers button. Slide it over there. I want to edit the properties as height of 30. So I'm going to go into here and set my height to 30. And I'm going to change this name here. Forgot to do that part. Call it multiform. All right, and I'll make this a little bit smaller. And then I want to drag the octave here. So here the octave is a little bit different than I want. So I'm going to edit the properties, and I'm going to make it numerical with the name on top. Make this a little bit smaller. Slide it right in there. And its height is 36. So I'm going to make these heights 36. All right. All right, so that's the bottom part of my sort of stack. And then I need to put in the an effect rack in here. So I'll just close this down, and I'll close this one. And I'm going to use this rack. So here I'll just say I want to add a component. And the rack, and I click this, and I get that rack popping in here. And then on this side of the control, I'll want to have an index control showing me the index of where I am in the wavetable. So to do that, I go back into my polysynth. So polysynth 1, and my multiform, and I drag the wave index over here. Now the wave index needs to be a vertical view, so I'll just go into here and say vertical. And I'm going to make it smaller. So it fits in like so. And I'll edit the properties and I'll say oops, double click the top here. I think I have to do this. There we go. IDX. Just to change the name. All right, so that's the first part here. And so I'm going to essentially repeat the entire process for the second oscillator section. So what I'll do is I'll go into this and I'll say I want to copy the size. And here I'll say I want to paste the size. So now I have exactly the same thing. I'll close this down and close this guy down, go back into this, and I'll need to add table display. Add a component. That's going to be the multi-form button and the layers button, and I need the wavetable index, and I'm going to need the octave. So the octave is going to be this name on top. This is going to be a vertical tab with numbers and values. Going to be bigger than that, of course. And so here I'm going to, actually there's a fast way to do it. I can right click and say copy the size and paste the size. Oh, and I need my my rack. There's my second rack. Put this down here, slide it in like so. And copy size, paste size, and copy size and paste size. There, that looks pretty good. And then we'll need the balancing control, which is this control. Oops, actually it's not that one. It's going to be this control here. Add the properties, and I'm going to make it horizontal with numbers. There we go. And I'm gonna make this a little bit thinner. And in my case, my original one was a dark blue. So I'm gonna make it this color here. And I can set the other colors, but I don't necessarily need to do that. And then I just go optimal size. And that's how you create that, that interface. To use it, you basically just turn off the editor, and then you go into the multi-form, you specify a source. So in this case, I'm going to use a source here on growl. Transform, you don't have to do anything, and then you just click render. And now when you slide this up and down, you get whatever was in that particular file. And in here, I need to change this name here. Go into here, do the same thing. In this case, I'm just going to take a waveform. And then add another waveform. How about that one? Sure. And then I do a render. And so what I get is a transform between these two. And that's how you do it. So now when we actually play this, so I'm just going to close everything down here. You can see there's a whole bunch of options here. One of the cool things that you can do is see this button down at the bottom. By default, it goes from this rack into this balancing control, but you can actually reroute it and make it go into rack 2. So you could set up a whole bunch of effects or alterations in here, and then go directly into this rack and bypass this one completely. So I could actually bypass that and go directly to the output. So that's it. That's how you set that control up. Didn't take very long, and pretty functional kind of environment. One thing I forgot to show is, and this is just part of the wavetable kind of mechanism, but under layers, you have default settings that you can specify, but if you go into the layers section, you can specify the how fat you want the sound to be. I usually have 1, and how much detuning you want, so you can get a fairly interesting looking kind of second here. So that's it. Hopefully it gives you an idea of how it's going to sound. And it's kind of cool. Anyway, that's how you set up a 2 oscillator wavetable with an effect rack, or 2 sets of effect racks. And of course, these effect racks, you can increase and decrease the gain and the stereo sounds and the width, all kinds of cool things. And that's it. Hope you had fun. See you in the next video.